I wanted to talk about a topic real quick that I don't usually touch much, but this one kind of rubbed me the right way. It was a debate between a young lady, a white lady, and a gentleman, a white gentleman, who is a known debater. And they were talking about, the lady was saying that blacks are disproportionately imprisoned for crimes, and that, basically, why is this? And the gentleman was saying, well, this is because it's true that blacks, they're saying, he was arguing that blacks commit more crimes than any other race, or more than the white race. And he was saying that the percentage of the white population versus the black population is 60% whites and 14% blacks. Yet disproportionately, blacks are again imprisoned more often for crimes. And what I came up with, this is a very touchy subject for me, all right? Because while I don't believe that there are necessarily excuses and that race should be an excuse, we still have to deal with the facts of the matter, okay? And that is that, yes, more than likely, blacks commit more crimes than any other race. Now, why is this? Okay, so in my opinion, agreeing somewhat with the man, I asked myself, using rational analysis, why do people commit crimes? All right, if you have those who are considered the haves and those that are considered the have-nots, the haves would have probably less of a reason to commit crime. Duh, right? Makes sense? Because they have. They're not going without a lot of the basics, or even the things that they want, the basic needs, or even the things that they want, right? They're able to get those things. Whereas the have-nots would probably be looking at the haves and saying, you got more than enough. I want what you got, right? I want my needs to be met, but I also want what you have. So there's a sort of jealousy, perhaps, envy, okay? And then on top of that, we know the true history, or some of the true history, or most of the true history of the things that transpired unjustly throughout time here in the United States, those things that happened against the unfortunate race known as the black race, right? We know slavery, we know murders, lynching, and what have you. We know bombings of establishments, black establishments, such as the Black Wall Street and what have you. We know that. We know that things were, including inventions and things that the black race had come up with, we know that those were stolen. We know that there was hypothecations, there were conversions and subversions of rights and what have you upon the black race. So again, in consideration of the haves and the have-nots have in their minds, a justifiable reason to come after those that have. So why are crimes committed? Well, one glaring reason is the lack of need, again, and some of the wants and desires. The want to be equal, or to have equally what somebody else has been afforded the opportunity to have. Now, that does not mean I'm not justifying crime. I'm not justifying jealousy or envy. But if we're going to be real, let's be real all the way across the board. Now, just because slavery is abolished today, only for the last, 40, maybe 50 years, right? I mean, and I shouldn't say slavery. I should just say injustices, civil rights and whatever. That's been an issue dealt with recently, right? In consideration of the times. And so there may be, and there probably is, a sense of anger, a resentment, envy, which doesn't just go away at the establishment of, let's say the 13th Amendment abolition of slavery type situations, because people are still trying to figure the system out. They're still trying to figure out where they fit in, how to come up in a system that at one point in time was not designed for the betterment of the unfortunate race known as the blacks. So there's still a bit of fallout. I mean, I think that's obvious. And so crimes are committed for envy and jealousy purposes. Why else are crimes committed? Crimes are committed because of propaganda, okay? Such as the Planned Parenthood agenda, population of the unfortunate races being affected by the abortion issues and the setups of abortions and their directive aiming at the poverty-leveled individuals, okay, and what have you. So those disparities and the effects of those disparities upon the unfortunate race is another reason of envy, anger, injustice, etc., etc. Okay? And a whole host of other reasons, all right, that you can use your imaginations to figure out. Okay? But when you don't have it and you need it and you want it, you may, or someone may find a way to steal, rob, okay, or even kill. All right. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. Don't get me wrong. All right. And I'm not in any way trying to justify harming anybody or taking what somebody else has. Okay. Just like it's per se not the fault of the white race today in that they are enslaving or whatever, right? Or lynching or whatever. Just like it's not their current fault today, the population today, when it comes to what their forefathers and foremothers did, it's not necessarily the fault of the unfortunate race, what they call the unfortunate race, the blacks, in how they are per se perhaps acting out when they learn of the injustices and that the truth of the nefarious and diabolical activities of the fortunate race, we'll say the white race. And so with all that being said, to me, it just makes sense. Now, people can just say, as this gentleman was saying, that, they do commit more crimes. Well, what hurdles have the unfortunate race, the blacks, been subject to, having to deal with, as opposed to maybe what hurdles predominantly the white race has to deal with? Okay, think about the introduction of certain drugs and things that I guess historically alphabet agencies like the CIA or whatever are alleged to have introduced to the societies, the impoverished societies. Not only that, but poverty, we know, kind of tends to have a higher level of crime in it altogether. And that's whites or blacks that are impoverished. You have more drug use, you have more alcohol abuse, right? You have more domestic violence. And all of those negative results, okay, that's just fact. And so I would have to ask the question, okay, what number or what percentage of white people live in poverty as opposed to black people living in poverty in the United States? Okay, because remember, and I think you'll agree, that poverty breeds crime. Okay, so and that's across the board, whether it's white or black race, white or black race. Poverty breeds crime, and we know, and I think you will agree, that a greater number of blacks live in poverty, okay, than white races. And so while it may be true that blacks commit more crimes than any other race, okay, and yes, they're imprisoned at a greater amount therefrom or thereby, while that may be true, the question is why? What does poverty breed? Crime, death, okay? Just think about the drug use, the drug sales, all that kind of thing, right? Illicit drugs or whatever, controlled substance, whatever, okay? Drugs are used medically as well as illicitly as a type of self-medication or medication, right? Self-medication or medication or being medicated, right? To address psychological, physical, mental ailments. And so people in poverty are suffering. I think we can all agree to that. So of course they're going to have higher drug usage. Okay? In poverty zones, there's going to be more joblessness, obviously, right? More people out of work. An idle mind is what they say the devil's playground. So if you got a bunch of people out of work, but yet they have needs, you're going to have more robberies, burglaries, and you're going to have higher drug use, drug trafficking, etc., to get the monies that they need for whatever it is that they need to purchase or want to purchase. So there's going to be a whole lot of drug cases. There's going to be a whole lot of arrests and imprisonment for weed, cocaine, crack, heroin. Okay, so you're going to have more of the impoverished people getting in trouble, getting indicted for these crimes. Not only drugs, not only murder, not only domestic violence, not only child support. Think about it. Think about child support alone. I wonder how many, especially black men, are on the hook for child support alone. Nonviolent crime. Now, consider this as well. Consider that which population, being the black or the whites, right? Which populations do you think have the highest amount of broken homes, divided homes, where the father is not living in the home? Another metric to consider when we're looking at the fact that blacks commit more crime. What is a crime? What is a crime? Does it always have to be violence? Does it always have to be murder? No. It could be child support violations, probation for nonviolent crimes, perhaps. Probation, parole. You get revoked, you go to prison, you go to jail. You see what I'm saying? So I guess in consideration, I mean, this really just rubbed me. This conversation rubbed me. You can clearly see why a particular population is imprisoned more in the United States than any other, even though they only make up 14% per se of the population. Makes sense. It makes dollars. And so what needs to really be discussed is how to end poverty. What needs to really be discussed is how to end broken families. What needs to really be discussed is psychological help for the unfortunate race known as the blacks that have to deal with the thought process that the system that they exist in at one point holistically did not accept them or include them into the society. And then we have to do some kind of a algorithm to say from the 60s and 50s to today, which is only 40, maybe 50 years per se, right? How much have we progressed and how much now is the system accepting of us? So psychologically, what kind of damage does that have? So that we can maybe curb the striking out or the activities of anger, the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, the anger movements, maybe we can curb that if there is a more empathetic or even sympathetic discussion as to how you must be affected by the past and how that is influencing or affecting you today. Not discussing who's the worst lawbreakers, not discussing who's the more criminally prone. How about we stop having that discussion where we're tarnishing the images of particular cultures, and how about we start having the discussion on remedy so that we can stop the offenses that are absorbed by a particular class or culture, and we can get to a healthy resolution. I think we're arguing the wrong things. I think we're causing more injury than we are remedy. And until we fix that and see things from the proper perspective, not from a political standpoint, but from a real world, real life perspective. If we all want to live in this euphoria where everybody is equal, if we want to get to that point, then let's stop having the discussion of who is worse or worse off. The black races, let's get past the excuses, okay, and deal with the facts. The fact of the matter is there are more opportunities today for us than ever before. That is truth, okay? Now, just as the cost of living goes up, right? And there is a disparity between the cost of living and wages, I contend that so goes the issue of where we were back in the 50s and 60s, let's just say, and where we are today and the opportunities that are afforded. I believe there still is that disparity. Okay? Something like inflation, right? The cost of everything is going up, but the cost of living is not evening out. I think that is the discussion. Not that there are no opportunities, so that now we're just raging against the machine, tear the whole system down. No, let's discuss the disparity. Where are we today in 2023 as opposed to where we should be equivalently? How about we have that discussion? I don't know. I'm just chiming in on that. I don't usually touch this topic much, but again, this discussion, this debate, just kind of, it was two what they call white people. One giving the appearance of defending and questioning as to why blacks are disproportionately imprisoned arrested, etc., etc., and then the other saying, you know, it's true that they they commit more crimes. That's why they're in prison, right? But what is the true discussion? What is the real issue that needs to be discussed? I guess that's what I'm getting to. All right, so what do you think about this? It is never my intent to strike up any race riots or dissension or division, just to get people to think what is truly going on, what's truly happening. How come we're in 2023 where technology is uber fast today? Everything is moving at such a high rate of evolution, I'll say, but yet we're still tripping over the same old bumps in the road when it comes to relations between the races. Something is not right, and until we get it right, we won't be right. And now you've been made free. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Courtney, just putting something on your head, something on your mind. Furthermore, I'll end with this. They always say, follow the money. Who profits, or what profits, when the races are at odds, when we're not having the proper discussion and everything is seen through the lens of politics? Who wins in politics? Is it the people per se, or is it the people that control the people? All right, I'm gonna leave you with that. 21 minutes, longer than I wanted to go, but I just wanted to put some things out there. I needed to get it off of me, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. If you want to chime in, we're here at Knowledge Well Media every Sunday about 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And again, this is a platform to make you think. We provide you with information that you can disseminate through, and you draw your own conclusions off of that. All right? We'll talk to you next time. Peace.